So, over the course of the past 2 days, I've met several people who came to me and said, you know, Vusi, I sent you a message and you didn't respond. Yeah, well, there we go. So maybe to give you a sense, if I went on my phone now, I think on my LinkedIn, I've got over 6,000 messages. Not contacts, messages. Of that 6,000, I think over 1,500 is in-mail, which means it's people I'm not connected with who've got LinkedIn Premium that can send me a mail. Daily, I get well over 250 emails. I have 8 email accounts. On my Instagram, last I checked, we were averaging about 30 messages on Instagram, people sliding into the DMs daily, 30 daily. And so you might imagine I'm going to spend time with you here today. I won't have access, won't be able to check, and at the end of today it would have compounded by 30, right? But there's 30 from yesterday, and there'll be another 30 tomorrow. So by day 3, you're 90 in. And that, by the way, is excluding the biggest community of inbound messages, which is Facebook. On Facebook, we're averaging, last we checked, well over 200 messages a day. And that's everything from, this is my favorite, when people on Facebook send a message on our page and they go, hey, tell me a bit about yourself. Click on the link, go to the website, right? 2, there are some people, and I imagine there are some here, who will send an entire essay as a first message. They will tell you their name, their surname, their birth name, the name they hope their mother gave them. They'll tell you where they're from, how many husbands or boyfriends or wives they've had. They'll tell you all about the personal issues and problems. They'll tell you about, how Christ came to save them in their hour of need. And eventually by paragraph 13, they say, so here's the question I have. Yeah, this is curious to me, and I don't mean to say this glibly, but it's curious to me how many people actually expect that you read this. I mean, let's logically think about it. Let's swap positions. So you are in my position, and I'm in yours. You have companies all over the world, because one of the decisions I took very early on in my life is that being private is a form of good manners. You don't have to publish everything about yourself. So, whereas there are most of you, I imagine some in this room, who know some of the things. Hello, someone. Hi. There are some of you in this room who know some of the things that I do. The fact of the matter is, the stuff you can pick up online about what I do is less than 10% of what's on my plate. So, our PE firm, venture firm, research firm is less than 10% of what's on my plate. Less than 10% of my economic interest. Less. The other 90% is my business. It's not your business. So it's called mind your own business. But I say this for the following reasons. So let's reverse positions. Now you're in my position and I'm in yours. And you've got compliance issues, regulatory matters, governance matters, growth matters, talent matters, in different countries, different jurisdictions, different regulatory systems. You've got capital issues where you're raising capital, capitalizing businesses, you're managing a team, you're managing a business, you're on stage speaking. And then somewhere in your DMs, in message number 76, is somebody who writes you a 13-paragraph essay. I start with this because it kind of draws to why I started doing these masterclasses. So one day, I was on my way to the office and got to the office very early in the morning, went on social media, had a look, and I was like, oh, not again. Another message. And so I thought, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to host a free session, and anybody who wants to ask a question, just come to the session. Don't stop DMing me. And I said, here's the date, here's the venue. So we did it in our old office. I said, be here on this date, on this venue, Asante. On this date, in this venue, at this time. It was a Saturday, I said 9 o'clock. Put it to you, we didn't even book I shouldn't put this online. We didn't even secure the venue. So the office that I had, right adjacent to us, was another office about equal to our size that was open, and the landlord hadn't rented it out. So I said to my team, we'll use that office on the Saturday. Don't tell the landlord. Because, sometimes to be an entrepreneur means you ask for forgiveness, not for permission. Like, we'll use that office. When the landlord found out, by the way, they were biblically upset. Because, they've got to make sure that the fire procedures are in place. They notify medical services if you have more than a certain number of people coming in case there's an emergency, right? So bootstrapping, starting really hard. I said to the team, we're going to be there. Let's see how many people come. I went online and I put out a message. I said, be at 70 Grayston on Saturday, 9 a.m. And as some of you would have seen on my Twitter yesterday, bring a pen, a paper, and a chair. Because we didn't even have furniture. No paper, no pens, no chairs. And we probably had about 400 people in the room. I published the message on the Thursday. By Saturday, we had well over 400 people. What's been interesting for me, and then we'll get on to the business about which we are convened here today. What's been interesting for me has been the questions entrepreneurs ask are curious to me. In the sense that most of the questions, the information is actually readily available. You can really find this stuff out online. So I'm not sure if it's a presentation issue around how this information is presented, or if it's a curating issue around where to find the information in the first place. So the first place for us to start, and by the way, tech team, the way these masterclasses work, if you've not been briefed, is it's not a lecture, it's a masterclass, which means it's probe-led. I'm going to sit here and the friends with whom we are convened this morning are going to ask questions, and I'll do the best I can to answer the questions. So please get your roving mics ready, is what I'm saying. And there are no such thing as a stupid question. If you have a question, please ask it. I'm also very comfortable when admitting when I don't know something. So if the answer to a question you've asked is I don't know, it's going to be I don't know. I can only pour from the well that I have. So I was making the point. I'm not sure if it's a presentation issue or if it's a curation issue. I expect in this room that some of us here are over supplied with the wrong information. And it's not because that's the information that's being supplied to you. It's because that's where you are looking. Yeah. How many of us here in this room have, at some point today, and I know it's a big thing here in Kenya, so I don't want to be a bad guest, by the way, so please take no offense. How many of us here, it's barely 11 o'clock, how many of us here have already gone and checked out what's on the blogs and the gossip columns? And the funny thing is, there are three types of people. There are those who've done it and who will look shamefully at everybody else as if they've never done it. There are those who are doing it right now, but pretend they don't know what we're talking. And then there are those who go, yeah, I've done this. The reason is just because that information is so easily available, so readily available. If you go and search for something online, that's the first thing that pops up at you. You see it. It's right there, right? So what happens to most of us is first you read one article about some or other public person or politician that was driving on Mombasa Road and hit a pothole. And what happens is your phone and the algorithms on your phone start supplying you with like information because you've read this stuff. So I think the first lesson for any person who's a serious growth entrepreneur is you have to curate the content you're consuming. It's your responsibility, nobody else's. Guys, a simple thing, like just go on your Facebook feed and go and check what's on your timeline. Check what's on your status board. It'll tell you everything you need to know about what information you're consuming every day. I made a decision some time ago that I don't want television. So in my home, I have TVs, don't get me wrong, beautiful, massive, big TVs. They're just never on. I also don't have the decoder thing that you use for the channels. So it's not unless I'm traveling and I'm staying in a hotel that I can actually tell you what's on CNN. I don't know. When I first started doing this, it felt a little bit like I was plugged out of the system of life. It was the best decision I ever made. I just don't know. Now here's the crazy thing, is people say, well, if you don't know the news, aren't you staying behind? No. Because by 10 o'clock the following morning, everything you need to know, someone in your life would have told you. Vladimir Putin starts a war, it's on somebody's WhatsApp status. You don't need to go and look for it. Some court issues a judgment about some politician, somebody's going to put up the link on their WhatsApp status. You don't need to, why are you sitting there watching 24 hours of garbage fed to you all day, every day, all day? We're in Nairobi, I'm not in the US, but I already know that Johnny Depp has been giving testimony against Amber Heard. How do I know? Because it's there. Does it make sense? So I think you have to start first by curating the information you're consuming. You have to do this. So, and it's different information for each of us, but there always, to people I say, there are 3 lots of information you should have. First is you need some sort of industry information, the sector or industry you're in. There must be a body, an association that's publishing latest news, articles. You have to subscribe to their service. Otherwise, you don't know what's happening in your industry. You don't know. In my game, I know I need to subscribe to each of the venture capital associations. So I subscribe to all of them. SAVCA, EAVCA, AVCA, Dazzle Angels. I subscribe to all of them. Big Stack. And every day or every week when they publish stuff, it comes into my emails, a quick cursory review, and I know what's happening in my industry. So first you need an industry source of information. If you're in manufacturing and you're manufacturing garments, you need an industry source of information. And if you don't have a local industry source of information, you need to find an international industry source of information. But you need to know. So that's the first piece of content and information that you need. The second piece of content and information that you need is general motivational upliftment content. Many places to look for this, but there are some golden standards, right? So for those of us here in the room who are on social media, if you're not following Goalcast is the golden standard. They made popular this format. In fact, they've published a couple of my videos where they have the video, they cut it into 30 seconds, they overlay it with really inspirational music, then they publish it. And here's the trick. Once you find one, go and click on who follows them and you'll find the other ones. Or click on who they follow and you'll find the other ones. And why do you need this? Well, if you're an entrepreneur and a business owner, some days you don't feel like waking up. Some calls you don't want to take. Some meetings you don't want to be in. So you'd far rather be in a position where you're getting some sort of external stimuli, right? And then the third piece of information. So first you need industry information. What's happening in your industry? What's happening in your space? Then you need uplifting sources of content. For those of us here who are believers, whether it's some sort of spiritual content, religious content. As a believer, I live on Priscilla Shire. I think Priscilla, right? Come on. I live on Priscilla Shire. The gold standard, TD Jakes. And then everybody, it's just like, You know, because some days, all I want to do is just listen to a good 30 minutes of TD Jakes shouting at me. Because that's what he does, you know? Do you believe? I'm like, yes! I'm broke, but yes! I absolutely believe, right? So the point is you need this kind of content. And then the third bit of content is you need content that constantly keeps your mind elastic. So, there was a study that was done, I forget by whom, and I don't want to date it because I will get it wrong. I remember the high levels. And the study proved that similar to those of us in the room who have a gym membership, and you go to gym and you work out. Ask anybody in the room who has a gym membership, you go to the gym and you work out. First thing that happens when you go to the gym and you work out is pain. Following morning, the second morning, the third morning, pain, because your body's not used to whatever strain and exhaustion you're putting it through. But you go through the pain, and then after a while, your body metastasizes and it gets used to this pain, right? So it goes, oh wow, I'm kind of used to this now. And what actually begins to happen is you begin to look forward to the pain. The people who gym know what I'm talking about. You even feel flat if your muscles aren't slightly volumized, if you don't have a tear, if you don't, there's a certain heat that goes through a certain part of your body when you've exercised it and you've torn the muscle and the blood has rushed there. It looks inflamed. It's that beautiful, you know, it's that what I call the Rock look. If you ever watch any of the movies with The Rock, any time before he shoots a scene where he's shirtless, he goes and he pumps a bit, that pump look, right? So your body first goes through the pain, then your body goes through going, I like the pain, right? And then you get more and more advanced in this process. Your muscles do this, but so too does your brain. So what the study actually proved is that if you're engaged in some sort of academic process of rigor, a short course, a program, a degree, a diploma, anything like this, your body, your brain is more elastic. It's better at consuming this content. And some of you in the room, if you've ever done a degree, you'll know this. The minute you finish, there's almost a crashing feeling. Does that make sense? Yeah? There's almost this like, what do I do with my time now? My Saturdays were always spent either in the lecture hall or sitting in the library studying. So what do I do with all this time? So first, industry information. Second, inspirational, uplifting information. Third, engage yourself in a constant process and a system of study. It's absolutely fundamental. It keeps your brain vibrant, it keeps you alive, it keeps your brain elastic, it keeps you fresh. It keeps you contemporary, it keeps you thinking, it keeps you engaged, it keeps you constantly adding new value. There are in this room, sadly, some of us who think what we knew a year ago is the best we can do. And so we stay with what we knew a year ago. But the space you're in, the industry you're in, the environment you're operating in, the competitors you're competing with every single day are looking for a competitive edge. So they're getting themselves better too. Does this make sense? So, a long opening, but really just to recap. First, if you ever, connected or engaged with somebody on social media who has a fair amount of business pedigree and a large following, stop sending them inboxes. It's not effective. I know it comes from a good place. I know we mean well. I know it's with good intent. I promise you now, Strive Masiyiwa did not see that DM. I promise. He would literally have to give up everything he does and sit there all day, every day, answering those. Now, for some of us who are well-mannered, I will have a social media community. They will go in, they will check, they will read. Then what we do is we have FAQs. These are the frequently asked questions, and for the FAQs, these are the standardized answers. But it's just, if you're looking for genuine, deep connection, this is not the way to do it. It's just not find another way. Join an industry body, look for somebody who's connected with that person, find another way. A young lady did something very recently that I actually thought was very effective. She was trying to get my attention on LinkedIn. And so her and I were connected already. So she unconnected. It's a bit like it's like you have got a connection, then she unconnected, so she broke the connection. It's very smart what she did. Then she got a friend of mine, Carrie, who's in YPO, to recommend her to me. So she went and checked mutual connections. She was like, oh, he and I know these people. She reached out to Carrie. She said, hey, I'm trying to raise Vusi's attention. I want to talk to him about something. Can you connect me with him? Then Carrie sent me an inbox. Hey, Vusi, so-and-so wants to have a chat with you. Do you mind if I connect them with you very quickly? Attaches the link to their profile. Click on link, takes me to their profile. They go, oh, okay. I probably connected with her 5, maybe 6 years ago. I don't recall connecting with her. Her life has changed. Her journey has changed. She's now at a place where she's looking for something and she thinks I might be in a position to help. I say, sure, no problem. Make the introduction. He makes the introduction. She requests the connection. Now she has my attention. If she had sent 10 messages, it's not going to happen. I really wish I could sit here and go, you are the only person sending that email. You're not. And you got to remember that of all of these things that I've mentioned, I've not even mentioned the general emails, info at, the one everybody sends information to, right? So get more effective and efficient about reaching out to the people you want to reach. More deliberate about how you reach out to them. Be more creative. Just think about a creative way.